Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. You are watching The Power of Educating Our Own. I am Sister Marsha Nivens Muhammad and I am here with
Quran Shakir. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. And so the Power of Educating Our Own is hosted by the Clara Mohammed Schools Network. We are a network of 19 schools. Those schools are full time, part time, weekend, which we've coined in our community strong in schools, as well as virtual schools. And so we come together each week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you resources to help strengthen our school system and our community and all things that benefit the education that will ultimately reach our children. Tonight, we are going to be discussing the IWDM 50 commemorative weekend. And for those of you who are not familiar, IWDM stands for Imam Warfadin Muhammad Rahimullah, who is African American Muslim leader, a historic figure that has made a huge impact in the American Muslim world and the world globally. And this weekend is designed to commemorate his leadership. Over the past 50 years, while he is no longer with us, when he came into office in 1975 up until today, we have reached this 50-year mark, and there's so much that has happened in that time frame. We have with us tonight Imam Omar Shakir, who is the resident Imam at the Bilal Ibn Rabah Masjid in San Antonio, Texas, and he is also a member of the National Conveners of Imams organization. And so we want to welcome him to our show this evening. Assalamu alaikum, Imam.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Appreciate the work that you all do. Like you said, especially for our young people, our children coming up. But of course, that's going to benefit the entire community. So we can't get enough of that. Everyone has to work in their space and make our contribution. And you all are certainly doing that. Praise be to Allah.
Thank you so much. And my background, I'm sure, looks different to you today. We are actually traveling back from the Mali conference. That's the Muslim American Logic Institute, their annual conference, and we're on the road. So we stopped to have this very important conversation about the IWD and 50 commemorative weekend. And so, if you are watching us on social media, please just put in the comments who you are and where you're watching us from. We would love to acknowledge you on the screen. And if you have a question, feel free to throw it in the chat. And so I'm going to start off with our first question, which is Imam Omar, tell us how this weekend even came to be. Where did this concept for celebrating 50 years since Imam Muhammad had come into leadership, where did it come from?
Yes, thank you. Always beginning with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We give God the complete and perfect praise. He is our Lord, keeper, sustainer, evolver of all the world and all the systems of knowledge. Again, to all of those that are joining us, we greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
It's interesting that actually we've been working on this for about a year. This month makes about a year when we got this thing started. But what I want to do is back up and let you know that this whole thing that came about, though it may be spearheaded by the conveners or the conveners of imams or the imams and the team that we've put together, we are about serving the community. We're about responding to the needs of the community, serving the community. It's not about running anything or being the boss over anything. It's about service. And we know Muhammad, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prayer and the peace be on him, taught us that the leader is the servant. Reason why I'm beginning like this is because this come about because the believers asked for it. That's how it came about. We try to stay in touch with the community. We talk with the community, not just imams. We talk with the community, and they came to us and said, "Hey, 2025 marks 50 years of the leadership of Imam Muhammad. May God be pleased with him, grant him a high station in the paradise. We should do something to honor him. We should do something to celebrate him." So we coined the phrase life, legacy, leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad, not necessarily in that order, but the point is we want to do something to honor all three. Him as a man, him as a leader, and then he's left a legacy. And as you pointed out, Sister Marcia, even though he left us approximately 17 years ago physically, his influence, his impact, his knowledge, his information is still unfolding. I often use myself as an example. I've been a student of his from the beginning, and he's still teaching me. There's things that I'm just now coming into the understanding, and he talked about it in 78, 79, 80, and here we are 2025, and I'm saying, oh, that's what he meant. That's what he was talking about. So that's how it came about. And the conveners, we were responding to a request from the community. And we knew right away that we wanted to be facilitators. Yes, we'll lead it to a certain extent, but we didn't want to plan everything. We didn't want to be in control. We wanted to open it up to the community and make it look like what they want it to look like. And I can speak to how we decided to bring that about now, or I can take a breath here and let you and Sister Quran get back in. But that is a setup. I can stop right there, and then we can go more into how we developed this and how we decided that the best way to make this happen.
So I was giving Sister Quran a chance to jump in. I know there's a slight delay, so I wanna make sure I'm giving her an opportunity to come in. Uh,
I appreciate that. And I was delaying because I'm like, I'm not sure if it's going to come through or not. Again, Imam Omar, thank you so much for joining us. And even for the imams as leaders to really hear the voice of the people and then respond to this, because we know that what Imam Muhammad did for us as a people, as a community, and even as Muslims around the globe, because I really think he awakened the whole Muslim world. What he did for us is amazing. And so it's important that we celebrate and we remember. So I love the idea of the life, the legacy, and the leadership of the Imam. And so I do want to hear more about when you say you heard the people, what were the people saying exactly when they were saying we want to celebrate him, even though he's not here?
Yes, ma'am. Very interesting. And I'm going to say this in the most respectful way. Sometimes when the people charge you with something, they don't really tell you what it's to look like. It's kind of like, we want this to happen here. You take it, you do it, you make it happen. But praise be to Allah. We have been a member of this community so long. We travel. We're one community. We're in touch with the people, and we have such wonderful communities throughout the nation, and we have dynamic leadership, and I mean beyond the imam. Matter of fact, the leadership outside of the imamship is greater than the imamship, in my opinion, as far as numbers and the broadness of the contribution. I'm not trying to demean us in any way, but my point is, what did our imam teach us? That the leadership is in the resourceful and productive people in the society. And we know that it's not just about religion only. So I'm not going to turn this into the four birds. That's another conversation. But the idea is it's holistic. It is holistic. So I'm saying that to say this. We knew that if we're going to plan something like this for the national and international community, but let's say the national community, that with all of the dynamic leadership that we have, what would be the best approach? I mean, we can't get 1,000 leaders together to sit down and plan this thing. So we came up with a concept and an idea. What if we contacted the various institutions that the leadership of Imam Muhammad inspired and gave birth to. And let's bring that body together, the leadership of those different institutions, and let's bring them together and let's collectively, through Shurutu Bainahum, collectively come together, brainstorm, come up with the concept, and also plan the entire event. And of course, that's going to break out different ways. You're going to have different teams and this, that, and the other. But the idea is this would be a good representation of the community and its leadership, and it would be more practical. You can function better, you can plan better with 30 people, 35 people versus 1,000 people. So that was one aspect of it. But we also knew, now excuse me for using this term, but this is the best term I know how to use. We have also influencers in our community. They may not necessarily have an institution, but they're known throughout the community, well respected, their voice is respected. So we charged each section. There's 7 sections in the United States, and they all have representation. I happen to represent the Southwest section. So each of us were charged with reaching out to those influencers and letting them know that though you're not quote unquote on the front line and all the meetings and all of that, we're going to give you reports, regular reports. And we want you to know what's going on and feel free to jump in anytime. If you see something, if you want to make a recommendation, a suggestion, we want to hear your voice. And that's how we approached it. And again, you don't always get the results you want, but that was the concept and the idea. And I just want to say that we started out maybe with about 26, 27 organizations. Sister Marcia might know best. I mean, institutions, we might be down to 24, something like that. But I also want you to know, and I'm not going to put anybody on blast. I'm not going to name anyone, but I'm going to say this because I know how the devil is. I know how Satan works. And when you learn who the institutions are that are working with us, you're going to think we left somebody out. Not necessarily. We may have invited them and they declined. They chose not to participate. And these are well-known people that you would be surprised. Well, where they at? Where they at? And again, we're human. We may have left somebody out, but it wasn't our intention. So we have wonderful institutions, and I'm not going to name all of them, just so people know. We know Muslim Journal is an institution. Study al-Islam is an institution. Sister Marcia just mentioned Mali. That's an institution. What you all are doing in education, that's a component, and that's an institution. And we got Coalition for Good Government. You get where I'm going now. CWSC, AM 360 Radio, etc. Just to name a few. Even New Medina, Mississippi. All of that. Praise be to Allah. I'm going to take a breath right there, sisters.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you sharing with us the model for how the programming is being put together. I really appreciate this model of bringing the institutions and groups together for this effort. And while there may be some missed opportunities with collaborators, I also see this as sort of ground zero in this new model of working together for programming, because there's so much that each of us bring to the table. You mentioned not getting into the 4 birds, but really each of us have a bird that we're connected to, which we can
Mhm.
do in more depth. And so that would just add to having the proper representation at any one of our events going forward. So I really see this model of bringing the organizations and groups together to do the planning as this innovative way of putting together our programs going forward. And so even if we did miss one or two, right, let's look at this as a way for us to go forward, because really we do have to begin to work together in a very concrete way, um,
Absolutely.
get to the next stage. And so with that, I wanted to ask,
Before you ask and saying that, though, since we're honoring our imam, this is what our imam would want. It saddens me sometimes when some of us think we've got an exclusive on the imam, and if you don't look like what I think it looks like, y'all, do something else. No, he wanted us to be together. I remember even in some of his talks, hearing one thing that he said, that he's looking forward to being with us in this life and in the next. I'm not quoting him exactly, but I heard this at a convention, one of our annual conventions. He was so happy to see everyone, and he made it known how much he loved his community, how much he loved us, and it don't end with this life. He's ready. He's ready to hang out with us in the Jannah, along with Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr, Aisha radiallahu. I can go on and on. Let's just hang out together in Jannah. Praise be to Allah.
And praise be to Allah, and that's exactly what we want as well. And so, my question was going to be, what is the hope for, or the prayer, the intention for the weekend? Like, what are we looking to get out of this weekend together? We know, yes, we want to do some celebrating. We want to do those sorts of things, but tell us sort of in a little bit more depth, what do we want to get out of this weekend, and what can people expect?
Well, before I get to what to expect, I'm going to say it this way. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, but I'm going to say a few takeaways that I think are very important, that I don't, as connected as I believe I am, there's a lot that I'm not aware of, a lot of good that's happening in this community throughout the nation. We might not be aware of the good works in certain institutions and what they're doing and how they're serving and growing and developing and moving our community forward. So that's one thing that we hope to do with the collaborations. We were hoping that, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we'll unpack this a little bit more. The concept is that each institution would pick a decade. So what we did, we say, okay, Imam Muhammad radiallahu anhum, he came in 1975. But if you look at his leadership, there were milestones every 10 years. So the concept came, and we thank Allah. I was on Study Al Islam this morning, and I did give credit to our dear sister Fitra Muhammad, who came up with this idea that why don't we break it up into 1975 to 85, 85 to 95, 95 to 2008, since, if he was still with us and we would have went to 2000, you get it. And then the last one is 2008 and beyond. What is my point? Each organization, some of them gave birth. I shouldn't say gave birth. They came into existence during one of these 10-year periods of time. And we're hoping that they come together and they put together a presentation that shares with the community what Imam Muhammad's leadership did for them. No, each group is not going to be able to just talk about their platform, but they can do it generally, and they can educate our public to let them know that these are the wonderful things going on. I'm sure on some level we can at least list the institutions. That's one thing. Educate, let us know that, look at all these wonderful things that are happening in our community. But we also want to celebrate and acknowledge. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking stock. We're going to have a cultural piece, a cultural component. We're going to have some of the performers that we know that performed every year at our conferences and conventions. And that's going to, we have some of us haven't been together since Imam Muhammad returned to Allah. So we're going to bring folks together and have that type of nostalgia. But lastly, and I can say more on this if you have a redirect, but not a redirect, but a follow-up. But one of the things that is a very important component, on Sunday, we're going to have something called a Destiny Brunch. So yes, we're going to feel good. We're going to hug each other, be happy. We're going to learn some stuff, have a good weekend. But we don't want to leave there without a vision for the future. We don't want to leave there without saying, hey, wait a minute, what's next? And again, you're going to have to cut me off, Marsha, because I can go on. But there's this idea, unfortunately, that Satan has crept into us and makes us think we have a generation gap, that there's some kind of us against them. Us old heads need to leave and move out of the way, make room for the younger people, or the younger people feel we're out of touch. Whatever is creating this division. We say no. That's a perception that Satan has created. In Al-Islam, there is no such thing as a generation gap. And in our culture as Africans, there's no generation gap. There's a connection, there's a respect between the elders and the younger group and all of that. And even our Imam told us, I'm talking about Walatuddin Muhammad, radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him. He said, let's start transitioning. And he modeled this for us. Didn't he have young adult conferences where he had the big conference, but he met with the young adults? What did the Imam say? He said, start mentoring, start training the next generation of leaders. I'm not quoting, but the idea is, and I know I have to say this because people are saying, Imam, stop saying next generation of leaders, because they're leaders now. Yes, I acknowledge that. What I'm saying is this, though, to make the Imam's point. We should start giving our younger generation, young adults, next generation of leaders, areas of responsibility, leadership, train them, and Imam put it this way, kind of turn them loose a little bit and let them do some things while we're still here and we're still competent, so we can guide that process. And that's what I'm excited about, because when I look at the present and next generation of leaders like Sister Marsha Nivens, Muhammad, and others, oh, I can name a bunch of them, they are very competent. They are excellent. They're making wonderful contributions, and we're ready to pass the baton. Don't throw us away too soon. I got a couple more irons in the fire, but I'm ready to turn that over to that next generation of leadership. So on Sunday, we're going to focus on that. What's next? We have put together the 40 group, and 40 and a little older, and we'll have like Muslim Culture Con, which is a group that focuses on our youth, our young adults, 18 to 35. They're going to have a piece. We have New Freedom Exchange. I call him our dear beloved Imam Bilal Hassan Keys. I guess I said that right. Put all that in there. Imam Bilal, he's helping us put that together. The point is, we're working with that next group. They're going to put together some things. We might even have a brochure. We might have some video, but we're letting you know, hey, we're ready. We're moving to the next generation. And here's a vision, not the vision necessarily, but a vision for what we want to see in our community in the next 50 years, for example. Praise be to Allah.
I love it. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. I love the idea of that Sunday brunch, also the destiny. That's important for us to look at. And I'm also curious to know, from Friday to Sunday, what does it look like for us? Is it a conference or what? Like, are we expecting workshops? Are we expecting a banquet or of some kind? Because that's a part of our tradition of the things we've done. But I don't know necessarily that that's what we would do for this. And then my other part of this question would be, when we start looking at the fact that we are intergenerational, that is who we are, what kinds of things do we have for our young people, our youth, our young adults, and then the mature adults?
Yes, ma'am. Excellent question. Thank you. So just kind of like an overview, and we're still working on some things, but we have a good structure. Imam Muhammad, Rahim Allah alayhi, he gave us a template that we follow for I'm sure the Mali conference followed a time to be grateful. We follow this template where officially we kick off our conferences and conventions with Juma prayer. That's not going to be any different in the sense that that's when the main events start happening. But we're also aware that believers will start coming in on Thursday evening. I know I'll be there Thursday, and Imam Dr. Bashir Ali, the convener of conveners, he'll be there, and others. So Masjid Allah, which is the host masjid, has put together a program for Thursday night where we're hoping to meet local city officials. We may have some international guests that are coming in, and we're going to have like a VIP set at Masjid Allah on Thursday evening. And we'll give this to you again, but we have a website. You'll be able to see all of this information on our website. You can go to iwdmcommunity.com. We'll give this over and over again. You click on the link and it explains, and even as we update, we'll put new information in there. But an overview: Juma on Friday. That takes care of itself. After Juma, we are planning, and I'm going to take the lead from Sister Fitra, and I know Sister Marcia knows what I'm talking about. We're planning a leadership meeting from like 2 to 4. So yeah, imams meeting, but it's bigger than that because we're inviting other leaders to be there. So that'll happen. Around 4:30 on Friday, Sister Layla Muhammad is representing the Muhammad family. What did we say? Imam Muhammad, the man, where she's going to bring together something with her family, and there's going to be a documentary, possibly a video of some sort. We're going to talk about him as a man and his global impact. That's say from 4:30 to 7 on Friday. 7 o'clock Friday evening. I'm glad you're sitting down, Sister Quran. You ready? Friday evening, Masjid Allah, because of their relationship with the city of Philadelphia, they have blocked off the whole area for the entire weekend. We got that whole area blocked off. And so we're going to have a block party. How about that? We're going to have a street festival on Friday night. We're going to have entertainment. We're going to have food booths, other booths, or maybe food trucks, I should say, and just that festivity of a block party until about 10 o'clock that night. On Saturday, then we'll start those workshops you mentioned, or as our sister has put it, and I hope you all know that Sister Marcia Nivens Muhammad is our program coordinator. I hope you know this. And she has put together some wonderful marketing and packages, and she's calling, is it plenary? Let me get the word right.
Plenary session.
Plenary sessions.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be about an hour and a half in length. There will be a collaboration between the different institutions. There might be panels. There might be other things that are happening. So we're going to have 3 of those on Saturday, starting around 10 a.m. We'll break for lunch. We'll break for Salatul Dhuhr, maybe have one more session, and then we're going to all go back to our respective hotels and get ready for not just a banquet, but a cultural extravaganza. How did that sound? That come out all right? Cultural extravaganza. It's not going to be your typical banquet where we're giving out 50 awards and we're there till midnight. No, we're not doing that. There will be somebody has to hit the keynote. We'll probably have some dignitaries there. There will be a couple short presentations, but the main event is hearing from those. Can I not drop some names, Marcia?
You can drop a few. You can drop one. You can drop one or two.
Can we hear from Sister Suad Al-Amin that evening?
We can. We
hear
can.
from
We can.
Wilmore Siddiqui? Does that name mean anything to some of y'all folks? I'll stop right there. But we're also going to have a band, a live band. So all of this is in celebration on that evening, Saturday evening. And this will be at the main hotel. Most of the events, just about everything I'm talking about, is happening at Masjid Allah on their property, on their site. But the banquet and cultural extravaganza, because of the numbers, is going to be at the downtown Hilton Hotel. Again, all that's on the website. Sunday, again, 2 main events. You have the Destiny Brunch, but we're also planning an interfaith Talim. So That's it in a nutshell, Sister Quran. And there's also been some talk. I don't want to put this out, but we want to do something for the family too. We might have an opportunity to have you ask what's happening for the youth, what are we doing for the youth? Well, some people say single social. Maybe we won't use that language. We'll do something maybe around the family. We're still talking about that. And if the numbers dictate, because when we register people, we can kind of tell the age group. And I'm going to be straight with you. Most of our constituents are going to be around my age or older. Let me just put it out there. But we're going to have Marsha's age and younger there too, and others. So if the numbers dictate, we might have an opportunity to have an after set at the Hilton Hotel Saturday evening for the 40 plus. I'm sorry, for the under 40 or 40 and under type thing. So these are just, again, we're still formulating, but I hope that gives you some idea.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, Imam Omar, sharing the if the numbers dictate. And I wanted to speak a little bit to that, but
Sure, sure.
before I do so, I'm going to do a station identification. You are watching The Power of Educating Our Own. This show is facilitated by the Clara Muhammad Schools Network. We are a network of 19 schools. Those schools are full-time, weekend, also coined as strong and virtual schools. And The Power of Educating Our Own. In this show tonight, we are discussing IWDM 50. It is a commemorative weekend that will happen August 1st to the 3rd in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we will be commemorating the impact of Imam Wafaddin Muhammad's leadership since 1975 until today. For those of you who are watching us, go ahead and tell us in the chat where you are watching us from. We do see a few of our faithful viewers who are with us. We have Brother Anthony who gives the salams. Walaikum assalam, Brother
Alaikum
Anthony.
assalam wa
We
rahmatullah.
have Al Islam in the United States who also gives salams.
Alaikum assalam.
We have Sister Roxanne Adamson who's there. And I think that's it for the moment. But if there are others who are watching, feel free to let us know where you're watching from in the chat or just throw in a greeting. Or if you have a question, feel free to throw that in there as well. So I just wanted to jump back to the point that you made about if the numbers dictate, right? And so a lot of the programming that has been being worked on for the time that we've been working on it, we really just try to be as comprehensive as possible to put this programming together. And the reality is it is a weekend, right? It is Friday, Saturday, well, Thursday now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the majority of what we've been planning being from Friday to Sunday. Thursday, Masjidullah was so gracious to um, put into the programming. And so, there's only so much that we're going to be able to stick into the weekend, but we'll try to cover as much as possible. But one of the things that I wanted to emphasize was that we really do want people to register the family, right? We have a lot of our I call them the parent generation. Some people say pioneers, right? And those are interchangeable for me. But we always get a lot of support from that demographic of our community. And so I'm also just encouraging others to make sure that you get those registrations in for your children and your grandchildren, because that's also going to dictate what we're putting together. The unique thing about this registration is that we are asking you for some of that demographic data that you probably normally wouldn't give when you're registering. We want to know what age group you fall into so that we are able to know who's coming. And as Imam Omar said, we have a lot of like the 65 plus register. We do have some sprinkles in there of the 30. I saw some 30. I think the age gap may be from like 30 to, I don't know. It was a big gap, but I know it starts at 30, and then I saw there's another category that starts at 18, and so I'm seeing those sprinkling in now, which is nice to see. But I'm just encouraging all of those segments of our community to be there and be a part of this weekend so that we really can tie back into that original mission that we were all on. And this is a way for us to come together, have our voices heard, see each other, and learn about what each other is doing, and then have that be impactful for what happens going forward. So I just wanted to stick that in there because I felt like, sometimes we talk about the fact that we're having these events, and sometimes there's not things for younger people. I know in this instance, we have been really looking at those registrations to see who's registering, and that's helping to dictate the programming and making sure that we are gearing the programming to who's coming. So that would behoove us to get those registrations in for all demographics in our community. I'm excited. I'm excited
Yes,
for the
yes,
weekend.
yes.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a great opportunity for us to really um, connect connect in a really big way, and I'm looking so forward to like the takeaways, right? What are we taking away from this? What are we going to hear in these presentations about, that are centered around these decades, that give us that nostalgia of, yeah, we did that. Remember that,
Mhm.
you remember you ma'am said this, and
Yes,
remember that we were supposed to do this, and yeah, we got maybe 40% of it done or 60% of it done. What are we doing to get the rest of it done, and what that plan looks like. And that brings me to the point that we were very mindful, at least in the last, I would say, couple of months, that and this is a point that I had just made, that we're not going to be able to cover all of what we wish to cover in this weekend.
sure.
So one of the things that we did was we also started a podcast, and so I just wanted to plug the podcast really quick
Absolutely.
because it is an opportunity to have some of these planning conversations, have some of these more insightful conversations about what the future looks like. And so that podcast is the IWDM 50 Roundtable, and that happens on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Saturdays 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're actually the Power of Educating Our Own, the Clara Muhammad Schools Network. We're scheduling some time to get the network onto that podcast.
Exactly.
There are four key questions that we're asking everyone, and one of those questions is about how they see the community. What do they see as the trajectory for the community going forward? So I just wanted to say that's an opportunity to sort of have the conversation too, because it won't be a bunch of room in the weekend to have those conversations, but we do want you all to make the connections so that the conversations can be had, and we can start those before the weekend and then continue them after. So I just wanted to add that in there, and then I'll yield to Sister Quran.
Yes, that's a nice touch to do the podcast. As I'm listening, I am listening with the eyes, the ears, and the heart of some of the young people in my own life, because I have a lot of teens and I have a lot of young adults in our family, because we have a pretty large family. And I also come from a large community as well. So I'm listening to hear what's going to pull them there. Because when I have this conversation with them, I'm like the matriarch of the family. So I'm guiding them and I'm saying to them, I want to see your face in the place. And their question is going to be, what will I get from it? So I'm listening with that so that I can hear that, because they have a lot of ideas. They're fourth generation Muslims. They have ideas. They've seen their parents and their grandparents in the struggle, and that's not something they want to be, is in the struggle. Now they want to go forward with some new ideas and things. So, and they want to know, where do I fit in? Where will my voice be heard? And I can truly see myself making a difference. So that's one thing I'm listening for, and I hear it in this planning. And now I think they need to see more of that. So I'm asking, where is this being promoted? And what is the registration fee? So we'll know how much to pay. What do we need to pay for individuals and for families? Because I heard you give the idea of registering as a family.
Yes, Sister Quran, I'm going to yield to Sister Marcia in a moment regarding the promotions, where it's being promoted. She's doing, her and her husband, Imam Mujahideen, are doing a lot of the marketing. But I do want to speak to something here, that one of our challenges when you have a program like this, probably any of our programs, a lot of times, oh, did we lose Sister Quran? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. She'll be back in. She'll catch it.
She will, because I'm
Yeah.
saying this for her benefit. She'll catch
Yes.
it.
Yeah, she'll come back in and catch it. And she
Okay.
might have just lost reception. Yep, she's
Okay.
back.
Okay. I paused a moment, Sister Quran. I wanted you to
I
hear
got
this answer.
four.
Okay. Welcome back. So um, we try to sometimes put too much into the weekend, and we try to do it all in the week in one weekend. One of the ways, there's two things I want to say about this particular weekend, August 1st through the 3rd. It's a celebration of the life, leadership, and legacy of the Imam. So that's going to be a lot of the focus. We're not going to be able to do some of those other things, but I see it as a template of these types of programs going forward, number one. And number two, it's a springboard. It's a springboard into knowing the other sessions we have to have. We, like, again, we really need to do a whole weekend on family, just family. We need to do a whole weekend on business, a whole week, and we do that. You get my point. Education, all of the things that we do. So this what we're doing, and I choose to stay positive. I'm not listening to any negativity. Yes, we're going to make mistakes. Yes, there's room for improvement, but give us this. No one's ever done what we're doing before in our community that I'm aware of. And I've been here from the beginning. When I say the beginning, I don't mean 1930. I mean from the beginning, Imam Muhammad's leadership. So we're setting a template. This is unprecedented. And I'm excited about the quality and caliber of team that we have, the resourceful team, the resource team that we have, the institutions and the leadership that we have there. So it's going to be wonderful. Just keep that in mind, though. So that's some of the challenges. So we want to hear from our young people, not just for this. All the time, we want to hear from them. And I invite all of the leaders to respond to what our young people are asking of us. That's nothing turns a person off quicker than to feel like they're not heard. You don't see me, you don't hear me, you don't relate. You just got a bunch of excuses. No, we have to think outside of the box. We have to do things differently. We have to embrace some of these newer ideas and say, well, we've never done that before. Well, that might be the problem. We need to do it now. So this is my spirit and my attitude. So I yield now to our dear Sister Marcia.
Absolutely. And so, in terms of promotion, I mean, a lot of the promotion has been happening on social media. So, we do have a Facebook page, IWDM50, as well as Instagram and YouTube. We have an advertisement on the back of the Muslim Journal that has been running for, I think, since December, around December time, from the save the date all the way up until now. The other thing is that we really are depending on our institutions to get the word out. And so, not just so our institutions, our groups, but also the sectional
Absolutely.
conveners, right? And that activity, their connection into the masjid communities from that standpoint. The other thing I wanted to say is that, as we're doing this work, I'm recognizing that we don't have as much as we would like to have those centralized spaces as much as we would like to, right? Have those centralized spaces where we could get the word out um different age demographics of our community. So we do have Muslim Culture Con that has that 18 to 35 segment, right? And so if we push the information out to them, then we're like, okay, they'll reach the 18 to 30s, but 35. Um, but then how are we getting that word out to, oh, and our link tree is also on the screen. So if you go to, actually, if you go to our link tree, that'll get you connected to all of the different social media outlets that we have. So if you go to this Linktree website that is on the screen, you'll see there a link to our Facebook, a link to our Instagram, a link to our YouTube, and it may be, I think the website may even also be on there. And so um, the point that I was making is that I also think in doing this work, we're learning that there are some opportunities for having these groups, if you will, that bring together various different demographics of our communities in a real big way, so that we are able to push information out, but also that those common age groups are talking to each other. If I think about our community just in general, there's not um, any one entity that speaks to the 40 to, let's say, 60 group. I don't know. I took a 20-year range in that one, but there's not an institution that speaks to that group specifically. But if that group started to come together in some kind of way, even if it was like a monthly check-in, that we know that that information is getting out that way. I do know also that there is a group on social media, BAM, Black and Muslim born and raised. And so we make sure that the information gets into that group, because we know that there are lots of people who are connected in there. And then when I think of the younger children, right, we have Camp Khalil, but not all of our children are going to a Camp Khalil. But at least if we're pushing out to those institutions that we know are servicing those various age groups, and those are ways that we can get the word out. And we can do a better job at making that happen. But I also see this as an opportunity for us to identify the fact that there are some, gaps that we need to close.
Did you want to speak it? Oh, okay, you froze. I'm sorry. You were still talking. Go ahead, Sister Marcia. I don't know if you see she froze, right, Sister Quran? So she may still be talking and we don't hear her. There we go.
Oh,
She did
okay.
something
There
different
she's
there.
coming back on the other side.
Okay.
Okay. And it could be her connection. But that's good information that we're hearing um, as we try to really help our young people to see the value of this. And I'm often the song I sing is, how will we look in 100 years, in 200 years? And how we look will be based on the young people that we continue to engage today, because they will, inshallah, continue to do that with the generations to come. And my favorite comment is when you talk about who we are as a people. It made me think about my own upbringing as a Muslim child in our community, and how we did not separate us by ages. It's like whoever could do the work, that's who gets in and does the work. And sometimes I would be working alongside my mother, who's 30 years older than me, and with somebody else who might be 10 years older than me. And we're just all doing that same work. So I think that's important for us to continue to promote in our communities. I love the idea that we're also looking at families and what our families will bring forward for the future. And Marsha, I'm not sure if you got your mic back in. I was just talking until you get back in.
But I'd like to make a comment on what you're saying,
Yes,
Sister
sir.
Quran. I charge the parent generation for creating an inviting and welcoming environment for our young people, our younger people, young adults, current and next generation of leaders. I know sometimes we get territorial. Sometimes we think we can do it best and nobody can do it like us. I think the key into our next group taking leadership is that they feel welcomed to do so. Sometimes they maybe feel a little pushback or something, because we want to engage them to the point that they feel free to create spaces and create atmospheres that are about their interests, concerns, and values. I think that's very important. And it starts, we say we want that from them, but do we make them feel welcome? Do we facilitate that type of thing? So believe me, in every area and space that I'm in, that's what I'm promoting. That's what I'm promoting, because we need
And
our
I love this kind of conversation. I love this. I love this dialogue that we're having. And I'm wondering, will there be spaces where there is a conversation? So let's say that someone comes with a presentation and their presentation shows us the growth, the beauty, the experiences of that particular bird, so to speak. Will there be an opportunity for people to question, to get deeper understanding, so that we know how do we continue what has been modeled for us, or what we've seen as this historical overview? How do we continue that? Because I know even in our like traveling around the country, our communities look different. But there are certain things that look the same. And there
right,
are certain things it's like, oh, they have a lot of growing to do. How do we grow each other? Will there be space for that growth? As well as, we're talking about hearing our young people and making the soil fertile for them to feel like they can get in and start the work and be guided by those who are experienced. And then there are truly communities where the people are holding on tightly. How do we help them loosen the reins? Is that a part of what
yeah.
we're doing in this?
I'm
Welcome
sorry.
back,
I'm sorry.
Marsha.
Sister Quran, I would say that we can only start that conversation that weekend, but we need to start the conversation and then have the follow up. See, don't underestimate, we're talking about the programming, but do you know that some of the greatest significance happens when we're sitting waiting for the next workshop, and we're just chopping it up and meeting somebody we hadn't seen in a while? Or, it doesn't have to be structured and informal. No, it should have that family reunion type vibe. We're gonna see some folks we haven't seen in 20 years, and that kind. So there's value there. Don't discount. I'm not saying you, Sister Quran. I'm not saying you're discounting that, but I'm highlighting that to let you all know that some of the best deals and the networking and all that happens on the fly, as they say. But no, we have to be intentional. We have to be deliberate. And I would say, I'm anxious to hear what Sister Marcia would say. I would say the conversation will start, and we should engage as much as we can in that hour and a half that we have in each workshop, and then have a follow up.
And I would agree with you. And I would say that the conversation is starting now, and that this conversation is very instrumental in making that a broader conversation. Earlier, I mentioned that in our registration process, we are making sure that we are documenting contact information for people, and I really see that as an opportunity for us to get back in touch with people and have these additional conversations. The other piece is that um I've been asking people just in my travels. Like I said, right now we are traveling back from North Carolina at the
Mhm.
Mali conference, and I was at the Islamic Heritage Festival in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania last weekend, and various different events that we attend. I'm asking, what is the expectation for this weekend? What are you looking to receive? What are you looking to contribute? And in doing that, I'm finding I'm having those moments of, the idea. Sister Karen and I work together. So, we know that, the ideas just kind of pop up. They kind of pop up as we're talking. And now there's this new idea and this new initiative. And so one of the things that I see um, is that what we could do during the weekend is to start to, like, give people, and I'm just coming up with a very simplistic idea right now, but it may be something that we use, and I really want to see if we can facilitate it. Just something as simple as giving someone an index card and getting an idea from them, or maybe we even do something electronic where we, give someone a QR code to scan so that they connect to a Google form that asks them, for what is it that they would like to see going forward in what we do as a community, because we really do need to start to have these conversations. We need to have them very concretely, very intentionally. We do need to have them amongst those with like minds, right? So, yes, we have the Clara Muhammad Schools Network, but we also have other education institutions. And at some point, those those institutions that fall under that education bird do need to start to talk, right? And we do need to hear from the larger community and what they want in education, for their children, for us as adults with education. Why aren't we engaging in these institutions? Why aren't we putting our children? What do we need to see? What do we need to have? And then the same thing for business, the same thing for government. And so while the programming is really about sort of celebrating and also um, taking us down that memory lane and then giving us a potential plan for, or a plan, like Imam Omar said earlier, a plan for going forward, not necessarily the plan. I think there's also that opportunity for everyone to have a voice in sharing what it is that they um, see that we need, and then compiling that so that we can start to have some very specific conversations and putting those like-minded people together to really start to do the work. Because personally, I see us going forward by working together, right?
Yeah.
We have enough initiatives that are sort of separate and siloed, um, and as we go forward, I see that's from Marsha. I see that really taking off in a big way by us doing things together. We have a couple of comments in the comment sections. We have Sheikh Khalid Amin. That's our dear brother, originally from New York, but residing in Medina, and he gave an idea for having itikafs in the masjid on Saturday night, and then the breakfast Sunday morning, and then a sporting activity on Sunday morning could help bring us together, the young and the old. And so I think that those are wonderful ideas, Sheikh Khalid. And I know for this event, we're sort of far along in our planning, but those are those we need to hear those things, right? We need to hear those things and figure out how we add that into the model. One of the things that Sister Quran had shared earlier when she was asking her question about the structure of the program is that we're used to seeing programming in a certain way, right? We start off with the Juma, and then maybe there's a cultural night that night, and then the next day there's the workshops, and there's a banquet that night, and then the next day is Talim, and there's a very um, predictable, if you will,
Hmm.
way
Yeah.
of how we carry out these weekend events. And so having community members share those ideas with us helps us to evolve the way that we do things in the community, and I think it's a beautiful thing. But we do need to have spaces where we hear more from each other. And I think for all of us who have podcasts, this podcast here, The Power of Educating Our Own, we're looking for more people to um be online with us, be in the space, ask the questions, share the ideas, so that we're able to take that information and go forward. But that's going to require engagement.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do, and I'm a big proponent of everybody getting what they need. And the way I mean that, don't charge somebody else with supplying what you need. Go get what you need. And if it's not somewhere, formulate it, create it. Like you said, Marsha, like minds, birds of a feather flock. That's just a natural thing that happens. So I don't know how long this program is, but you still have to speak to the pricing that Sister Quran asked Sister Marsha about
Oh yes,
the
yes,
cost
and
of
and we are, and
registration.
we will be wrapping up shortly. But in
Okay.
terms of the pricing, you can always go visit our website at www.iwdmcommunity.com. This price list here, I'm not sure if you can see it in detail, but we did have an early bird special that ended on June the 15th. So now we're in the general sales category. So if you are registering just as an individual, that's at $120 for the weekend, and that's going to give you access to the plenary sessions that are happening on Saturday, as well as the street festival on Friday. And with that street festival comes a meal on Saturday during those plenary sessions. There's also a grab and go lunch that's connected to that registration. That does not include the banquet on Saturday evening or the brunch on Sunday morning. And that's the individual registration. And then if you were doing all access as an individual, you would get everything. And that's at that $300 mark. And then we have, if you see on the screen, we have that same sort of setup for couple registration, same sort of benefits that you see in that individual registration, but it's just for couples. And so you'll see the pricing there on the general sales. And then we have a couple all access where you get to go to everything. We also have a family registration. So a family of four, two adults, two children under the age of 18. And then if you have any additional children, it's $80 per additional child. And you'll see the prices there. That does not include the banquet or the brunch. So that's very similar to the individual registration and the couple registration that's going to get you into the street festival on Saturday, the plenary sessions, excuse me, street festival on Friday with the meal, plenary sessions on Saturday with a grab and go lunch. And then of course Juma and the Talim are also open. And then we do have a young adult registration, so that's the 18 to 25. They do have a discounted rate that does not get you into the banquet or the brunch, but it does get you into all of those things that are listed under, like the individual registration, plenary session, street festival, grab and go lunch on Saturday. And then we do have pricing there for what the banquet costs. So banquet, if you were just going to the banquet, it's going to cost you 150. We also have a table pricing. So a lot of our masjids are purchasing tables so that their members can sit together, and that's at 1,400. And usually, what the masjid is doing is, for the most part, the masjid is covering the table, and maybe their members are paying into that, but that's a way for everyone to sit together. And then for our vendors, we do have a pricing of 250 that gets them vending registration, excuse me, vending security for the entire weekend. And then it's also a registration of sorts, in that they are also going to have access to the plenary sessions if they choose to be a part of that, and the street festival with the meal and the lunch on Saturday, but that does not get you into the banquet or the brunch. And then the cost for the brunch is $35, and that's on Sunday. So visit us at our website, www.iwdmcommunity.com, to to be able to look at that pricing sheet in a little bit more detail to figure out what works for you. We tried to cover as many segments as we possibly could, and yet we still get questions, right? And we try to work them out, to satisfy everyone as much as we possibly could. And really, I mean, it's like Imam Omar said, that we haven't done this before that we are aware of, right? So we got little knocks and bumps and bruises along the way, but inshallah, we're making it work. We have a comment from Imam Abu. Imam Abu is joining us from Ghana. Ghana, he says, may Allah continue to bless you. And again, he's checking in from Ghana. For those of you who are familiar with Study Al Islam, we met Imam Abu through Sister Fitra, and he's come and done some presentations on Study Al Islam. So I'm glad to know that he is checking in to see what we have going on. We would love to have you come, Imam Abu. I don't know how possible that is, but August 1st to the 3rd, we will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, celebrating 50 years of the impact of Imam Wafiddin Muhammad's leadership since 1975 through 2025.
If
Imam,
that's if
go
that's
ahead.
if that's the brother I'm thinking of, that
Oh,
brother
you went to Ghana. Yes, you were in Ghana.
that brother has an adhan like no other.
That is him.
We loved his adhan, and
Yes.
so
I forgot you went to Ghana
assalamu
with the
alaikum,
group.
brother Imam. Yeah,
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. Imam Omar, any last comments? Uh, Anything you want to share with us?
I'm grateful. I'm humble. I'm appreciative. I'm honored, proud to be with the team that we have. I think we're doing a phenomenal job under your leadership, also, my dear sister Marcia. And I'm excited, like you said, and we're already successful. We're already just like Allah says, "Qad aflaha al-mu'minun." Indeed, the believers are success. We're already successful, and everything else is going to be icing on the cake. Just want to put on your mind, you wonderful business people, you wonderful institutions. We're still looking for sponsors. If you want to sponsor us at the various rates, that information is on the website. Also, we're going to have a souvenir booklet. We were talking this morning at the Muslim Journal meeting, Sister Barsha. That booklet might be too thick. Your luggage might be too heavy because there's going to be so many ads in that booklet. But we want support through souvenir booklet ads. And if you can't take out an ad, become a patron, only $25. We look forward to all of that. So Sister Quran, Sister Marsha, thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity. Thank you for promoting. Thank you for your support. And may Allah reward and bless you and bless this institution and what you all are doing for our young minds that are coming along. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Rabbil Alameen.
Yes, and thank you so much, Imam Omar, for being with us. You have been watching The Power of Educating Our Own. This show is hosted by the Clara Muhammad Schools Network, and we are here in this space every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sister Quran, what do we have coming up for next week?
I don't remember. Next week is the 29th. Or next week, we talk about designing spaces for our children.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's connected to this week? Is that the way you mean designing spaces?
So next week's show will be about one of our Clara Muhammad Schools Network board members is involved in interior design, and so we will have her on with us next week talking about designing spaces that are conducive to children, but just designing spaces in general, right? Because that's her thing, and so we want to hear from her. When we think about our schools, our masjids, right, we're always looking for, particularly our schools, right, we know it's a space for children, right, and we want to make sure that that space is welcoming and inviting, it's peaceful, it's conducive to learning. But even if we don't have a school and we have a masjid and we want to um, have a space for the children in our masjid, what should that space look like? How should it feel?
Okay.
What are the things that we are considering being in that space? And so we will have Sister Ida with us next week, where we will be talking all things interior design, spaces conducive for our children and our youth. And so we look forward to that conversation. Until next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see how the space can either enhance or hinder the learning environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And maybe she can
And
give
that
us
would
some.
be true for our
Go ahead.
homes too.
Yes, and
I
our
Yeah.
said
homes
that
as
would be true
well.
for our home. When you're looking at that, what should your home look like to accommodate our young people?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this has been the power of educating our own. We have had a great conversation about the IWDM 50 commemorative weekend with Imam Omar Shakir out of San Antonio, Texas. And until next time, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa
Sister Clara Mohammed, a black Muslim woman from Macon, Georgia, was an extraordinary leader and pioneer. Her contributions, especially in the development of Islamic education in America, paved the way for thousands of Muslim families to take ownership of their children's future, starting at a time when homeschooling was illegal in the United States. She eventually established a network of schools that was later named Sister Clara Mohammed Schools in her honor by her late son, Imam Warith Din Muhammad, rahimahullah. Sister Clara Mohammed helped to establish the important role women had in early Muslim American history and was an inspiration to future generations of leaders. Without her, there would not have been a nation of Islam, or the unique Sunni Muslim community that evolved from it, one that was acutely aware of the concerns and aspirations of women. May Allah have mercy on Sister Clara Mohammed.